practice is called free? Because let's be honest, nothing is free in F1. And why do we call the Sunday race a Grand Prix? Well, here is my Back to Basics F1 series, and let's call this one the Race Weekend Organisation Setup Edition, because that really rolls off the tongue. Friday is FP1 and either FP2 or the sprint qualifying session. Free practices are 1-hour sessions that allow teams to refine their car setup, and FP2 is generally the most representative in terms of conditions, for example, weather and lighting. And this year, F1 teams are required to give up 4 FP1 sessions to young drivers. Now, there isn't any official reasoning regarding why it's called free practice, but there are some very common theories. Firstly, it's because teams are free to do what they want, they're not under parc fermé. The second one is linked to the fact that the F1 format has changed over the past 75 years. And the third theory I've seen is that free practice isn't mandatory. And whilst I couldn't find anything explicit that says free practice is mandatory, I'm not too sure about that one. If sprint qualifying happens that day, there are 3 sub-sessions and the slowest 5 are knocked out after each round. Given the timings, they're typically able to do 1 to 2 laps, and these tyres are required for each round. Saturday will always have qualifying, but it will also either have FP3 or the sprint race. FP3 is generally the most representative of a team setup because they will have shook off sensors throughout the weekend. Instead, if they're having a sprint race, it is 100 kilometers and typically no pit stops. Then there is qualifying, which is very similar to the sprint race qualifying, except it lasts longer so they can get a couple more laps in. Finally, Sunday is race day. Providing there aren't any red flags, a race will typically last about 90 minutes, but if you want more concrete numbers, the minimum race length is 190 miles. Unless, of course, we're in Monaco and then it's 160. Now, I typically just call it the race, but it's actually called the Grand Prix. And busting out my French GCSE for this, that means big prize. Calling a race a Grand Prix is not exclusive to F1, and it is believed that it has origins way before the championship. But from the very, very limited information that I could find about this, apparently calling a race a Grand Prix shows its prestige, and it also suggests that it is the most prominent race of that country.